Hi, and welcome to All About Adulting. I'm your host, Kimberly Buckley, and I'm the library manager at the Concord Library. I've been planning adulting programs at the library for a long time, and I was also a teen librarian for many years. So I feel like I have a lot of experience on this topic, and I hope that you will enjoy this mini series geared for high school and college students. I know these last few months have been hard for all of us, having to stay at home, and I hope that everyone is staying safe and healthy. And since we can't go to the library, I thought I would bring the adulting programs to you, and I hope you enjoy this week's segment. Before we get started on our topic of the day, and if you're just tuning in for the first time, I usually go over what adulting is. And I get this question asked of me a lot. And the question is, what is adulting anyway? And adulting can mean a lot of things, but the real definition actually means to do grown up things like get a job, pay your bills, or do your own laundry. But the number one point of adulting is that you're being independent on your own and being responsible. Okay, so now that we know all of that, we can move on to what I think is the more fun aspect of adulting, trying to figure out just what you need to know and how to apply it to your life. And here are some of the topics that we'll be going over in this mini series. And you can see that some of these are very, very important skills for living on your own. And even though this might seem like a lot, you can totally do this. And I'm here to help. So, our topic today is all about money. And if you guessed that we'll be talking about how to manage your money, you are totally right. We'll be talking about money, finances, budgeting, spending, saving, and more. So, today I'm going to go over some of the basics of what you need to know to get ready to manage your own money, because this is a really important part of being an adult and living on your own. And hopefully, looking at different ways that you can keep yourself financially sound will help to make things a little easier for you. If you do a little work now and learn about some money related concepts, and if you are more aware of how you spend your money, you will probably be really happy in about 10 years from now. So, I've got some tips to share with you on this topic. So, let's get started. Hey, you got some money. Now what? Well, I'm here to tell you that there's no secret, no deep, dark, magical, mystical secret when it comes to money management. There isn't a really crazy trick or a magic 8 ball that tells you what to do. No, sometimes you just have to learn on your own what to do. But I can tell you one secret that I do know, and that is when it comes to managing your money, education is power. Many people spend their lives creating some really bad money habits and probably kicking themselves later for letting it happen that way. And the truth is, as long as you learn the really important concepts of money management, you'll be on your way to building your own money empire. So, first, we'll talk a little bit about bank accounts and managing your own bank account. And I always like to throw in a back in my day story. So here goes one. Back in my day, and once upon a time when I was in high school, students learned about checking accounts and how to write a check. Yes, we used to write checks. Can you believe that? And that was in a home economics class, which I don't think they really offer anymore. So, anyway, so we learned how to write checks in class. But now we live in a world of online banking and budgeting apps, so it's really important to know how bank accounts work. So, bank accounts are pretty easy to open and use. However, they also have some responsibilities that require your attention. If you aren't careful, you could end up with an unpleasant surprise, such as an overdraft fee for not having enough funds in your account to cover something that you bought, and you didn't have enough money, so they took some more money from you. So here are the primary features for bank accounts that you should definitely pay attention to when you choose a bank and open your account. So the first one you want to know is, what are the requirements? You need to know that you have to give some basic information about yourself as well as proof of address and a photo ID. You usually have to have a minimum deposit, and that sometimes is required, but usually pretty small. You should definitely be aware of the fees. This is an important category because when you choose your bank account, you can find information about fees on the bank's website. Even if an account is advertised as totally free, you should still examine the fine print. Many bank accounts can be free, but only if you follow the rules, such as maintaining a daily minimum balance or signing up for paperless statements. Okay, so I talked a little bit about overdraft. This is the one you really want to look out for. This occurs anytime your balance dips below zero. So, whether it was something like a large payment or even a $5 coffee, if your account goes into the negative, you will be what is called an overdrawn, and you will have to put more money in your account right away or have to pay an overdraft fee. Debit cards, these are versatile cards that enable you to withdraw cash from an ATM, pay your bills, and make purchases online or use it in store, anything like that. These originally were referred to as check cards, but debit cards have really replaced checks with a faster and more convenient way to pay. Budgeting. So, budgeting seems intimidating when you've never done it, and lots of us resist getting started because it seems difficult or boring, or possibly like it could suck the life and all the fun out of you. But take it from me, the only difficult thing about budgeting is making the decision to get started on making a budget. So, when I finally took the budgeting plunge, my life changed for the better almost immediately. My budget became a tool that directed money towards my priorities and away from random spending that was derailing my finances for no good reason. I wish I'd done it earlier, but when looking back, one of the things stopping me was that I didn't really know how to budget. But now that I do, I can't imagine my life without it. So, three steps to budgeting. A successful budget will be a budget that you can actually consult as you work on it. So choose a place to write it down where you can go back and look at it often to see what's working and what you might need to change. Step one would be to determine your income. Your first budgeting step would be to figure out how much money you have coming in. This includes what you earn from your job plus any other sources of income. For example, if you earn regular money babysitting for a relative or you mow lawns for a neighbor, that should be included in your budget. Figure out how much your total income is, and when you start working or have a job, this will be called your take home pay. This is the amount of money you receive after taxes and other deductions, and will be the amount of money that you will have available to spend in your budget. After you become comfortable managing your money on a monthly basis, you may want to consider a 6-month plan or eventually work up to a yearly budget. But step two is to identify high priority bills. Your next budgeting step would be to figure out what your high priority bills are. Examples, if you're living on your own, might be that you have a house payment, or you have basic utilities, or a car payment, or even insurance premiums. These payments are generally fixed and you're expected to pay them every month. Step three would be other expenses. So, after subtracting your priority bills from your net income, you will hopefully still have money left over for other important items such as groceries, gas, and possibly credit card payments. The first time you set up your budget, it may be hard to determine how much you will spend on groceries or gas. So, the next step is to try out estimating these amounts and track your spending to monitor the accuracy of your estimates. Comparing your estimates on how much you actually spend will help you to adjust your budgeting amounts for the next month. So, we'll talk a little bit about discretionary spending. It's not something that I usually hear a lot about, but it's important. It's discretionary spending is the amount of money you spend on non-essential purchases. These are things like entertainment, meals at restaurants, gifts, and fun things, and other things that you want to buy. Most people are surprised at how much money they spend on non-essential items, but we need to make sure that we set aside money to cover the high priority bills first. So, set a reasonable amount of money for your miscellaneous purchases like dining out or entertainment. But if you're spending $100 a month on dining out, consider only spending $50 in your budget. Then, after you spend the $50, you can't spend any more in that expense category. So it really takes some discipline, but it's well worth it. The money you save can go toward building up an emergency savings account, which we will talk about later. And that money might even pay for a nice vacation. So it may be difficult to do this at first, but after you practice budgeting for a little while, you will see a big difference. When you change your mindset toward money, it takes time, but the longer you do it, the easier it becomes. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the budgeting apps out there. Almost everyone wants to improve how they save and budget their money, and the tech world has taken notice of this for sure by releasing a steady stream of financial tools to lend a hand. So I sifted through several budget apps and selected what I think are some of the most helpful ones. Whether you need an app that subscribes you to a specific budgeting method or one that simply lets you know when your bank account is running low, the solution is on this list. These apps are free and all available on iOS or Android devices. So, Mint has been the gold standard for budgeting tools for some time, and this app takes the top spot here for a few reasons. It automatically updates and categorizes transactions, creates a picture of how you're spending your money in real time. Wally is a personal finance app for iPhone or Android, and it's an app that keeps all your finance paperwork in one place. To put it simply, you enter incoming and outgoing funds, and Wally helps keep track of all that information to help you stay on budget. Level Money, for the majority of people who don't like budgeting, it helps you to build an effortless budget. It helps to categorize transactions and track bank balances. And it also empowers members to easily understand their current cash flow. The Capital app also helps to save effortlessly, spend guilt free, and invest confidently. You can discover a smart personal finance manager in the app with intuitive tools that make it easy for you to take control of your money. So, paying bills. Well, I got to tell you, paying bills is not something that everyone automatically knows how to do or even loves doing for that matter. It's actually definitely a learned process, and it's very important for everyone to learn. Coming up with a system to pay bills can really make a big difference in keeping track of all of the payments that you need to make. Talking about bills and payment reminders and due dates might seem boring, but think about the importance of meeting the financial deadlines and think about the penalties that occur if these are not met on time. And I have to tell you, the hardest lesson to learn is when you receive a late fee because you forgot to pay a bill. And I've had this happen to me a few times, and it always stings like a bee. It hurts so bad. Anyways, so making a list of your bills can help you track easily, and you can check that list off as you pay each bill. Also, on your list, you should include the due date of the bill so that you will make sure to pay it on time. And by adding the due date to your calendar and setting up for email reminders, you should definitely have all of your bases covered when it comes to paying bills. And the right approach can help you pay your bills on time. And by developing a system and sticking to it, you can make paying your bills on time easier. And it may seem like a lot of effort, but it's really worth it. So let's talk a little bit about weighing the wants versus the needs. So we know there are some things that we need. We totally have to have a roof over our head, electricity in our home, and gas in our car to get where we need to go. And then there are some things that we just want, like tickets to a concert or going out to dinner or going to a movie. And the good thing is that we can fit all of these into our budget and still have money aside to save if we manage our spending carefully. So the needs are the things that are essential for us to be able to live and work. They are recurring expenses that are likely to eat up a large chunk of our money. So here's a short list of some common expenses that fall under the needs. That would be things like housing, transportation, insurance, gas and electricity, and of course, food. Um, the wants are the expenses that help you live more comfortably. They're the things that you buy for fun or because you just gotta have it. You couldn't live without it, but you really enjoy your life more if you do have it. For instance, food is a need, right? but daily lunches out land more in the wants category. So, wants typically include things such as travel, entertainment, designer clothing, gym memberships, cafe drinks like coffee or smoothies. The wants and the needs won't be the same for everyone. I mean, you might need a car to get to work every day, right? But for example, what type of car you need can vary. If you need a fancy car for your job, you might just have to get one. The same is true for smaller ticket items like that new coat that you were checking out. A coat is definitely an essential thing to protect you from cold weather elements, but if you have three other coats in your closet at home, that new coat is probably a want. So, we're going to talk about poor planning. When you don't use a budget or track your spending, you have no idea how much money you might be able to save if you would just try. You're missing out on potential savings and probably losing money too. If you could just save an extra $100 a month, you might be able to save up enough cash to go on an awesome trip or launch a life changing business idea. But oftentimes, it's the expenses we don't think about that stand between us and our goals. And when you don't have a budget, it's just too easy to spend more money than you want to or need to. If you don't tell your money where to go, it will find a place to be spent. And this is especially true when it comes to regular spending on stuff like food, entertainment, and fun items. You those are the things that you want, and a lot of times poor planning can cost you hundreds of dollars each month. So we're going to talk about emergency and sinking funds. So you've probably heard what an emergency fund is, but do you know what a sinking fund is? A sinking fund is just as important as an emergency fund. And I'll tell you what a sinking fund is and what it's for. And just remember that you don't have to go down with the ship if you have a sinking fund. But first, let's talk about emergency funds. They're pretty self explanatory. This is a money you set aside for an emergency or something unexpected, like maybe you lost your job, or you got some big car repair that you have to take care of, or you have to go to the dentist and get a root canal. Oh, no, you don't want that. Anyway, the key word is unexpected here. An emergency fund insulates you from things that you didn't see coming. So a sinking fund is almost kind of like the opposite. It sounds like it's a bad thing, but it's not. It's for expected expenses, things that you know are coming, but don't come along very often. So they aren't in your regular budget, but you know they're coming and you have an idea of how much it will be. So by creating a sinking fund, these expenses will be accounted for usually in your monthly budget. A sinking fund could be for an expense that doesn't happen that often, like taxes, or maybe the holidays like Christmas or birthdays, where you're going to need to spend money for gifts. If you plan your sinking for those expenses, then it won't be a surprise. So, saving is the key to financial independence. And we have a list of ways that saving can benefit you. And if you have a savings, it can keep your money safe. Your money grows with interest. You're prepared for unexpected expenses. You're ready to make large purchases. And it helps you achieve major life goals. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about if you have a savings account and how much interest you could earn in your savings account. So if you put your savings in an interest earning account, such as a bank savings account, the amount of interest you'll earn depends on three factors: the, the interest rate, how long you keep the money in your account, and how the bank pays the interest. And almost all banks compound interest. It's a powerful way to make your savings grow faster. So, what is compound interest? Well, compounding means a bank pays you interest not only on the amount you originally deposited, but also on the interest your deposit has earned over time. So, with compound interest, your money grows more and a lot faster. And if an account pays what's called simple interest, that means you only earn interest on the principal, that is, the amount of money you originally deposited. So, how often is interest compounded? Well, depending on the account, The interest may be compounded daily, monthly, or even quarterly, which is every 3 months. Each time you're paid interest on the new total amount you have in your account. So the more frequently your money is compounded, the more interest you'll earn. So here's something important. Is the interest is the interest taxable? Well, yes, the interest you earn in your bank account is considered income, so it is taxable. So the bank will send a form at the end of the year that shows the total amount of interest you earned. And as a side note, the higher the interest rate, the more your money grows. So also, time is one of your most important tools for saving money. The more time your money has to grow, the better. Okay, so there are three key topics to consider when you're thinking about money. The one is how you spend your money. And really, this is how you express your values on what you buy. And how you save money, which is basically you're financing your dreams of something you want to do later on. Like we said, take a really nice vacation or trip, or open up your own business. And how you give your money and how you give money is your choice of charity or donations that you choose to give. And I just wanted to share with you a research study from 2019 that found that only about 24% of young adults were able to be financially independent from their parents. The study also found that the pace with which young adults are reaching other markers of adulthood has slowed significantly over the past several decades. And a great first step for young adults toward financial independence and living on their own is to start saving their money for an eventual launch from their parents' home to their own place. And here's something else that I wanted to share. Where do you spend money? Well, statistics have been gathered for 2019 to see where young adults have spent their money. And you might be surprised by this list, but I think that it's a pretty good list and it shows just how smart you all are. And the number one on the list is organic and natural foods. Young adults are choosing organic, at least for most products. These are 18 to 25-year-olds, and they're the biggest group of organic food buyers in the US, according to the Organic Trade Association. This tilt toward organic will continue to grow as more young adults start families and want the healthiest and freshest foods available for their kids and for themselves. And organic food is definitely going mainstream. Next is the dreaded student loans. One of the largest expenses for many young adults, especially new college graduates, is student loans. Student loans are a big debt for many young adults and need to be added to that list of bills to pay. In 2019, the volume of outstanding student loan debt exceeded the combined national auto loan and credit card debt levels, with 71% of all graduates leaving school with loans to pay off. The average loan size was $31,000 with a monthly payment of $393. But let's look at the charity. So, young adults are finding ways to give back that are meaningful to them and practical too. They favor companies that offer a chance to buy things they need, yet donate a portion of that purchase to help others. For example, Tom's Shoes, a favorite of many, gives one pair of shoes to a child in need for every sale that it makes. Restaurant fundraisers are one of the favorite ways for young adults to enjoy themselves and do something charitable. Almost 50% of young adults bought something to support a cause they believe in, and 30% paid little extra for an item or experience in support of an organization that they feel is worthy. And last, in 2019, travel has been more personalized and accessible, and young adults are taking advantage of that. With discount airfares and Airbnb, young adults are seeing the world with as much ease and as little expense as possible. That's great. Okay, so of course, my favorite slide. I have no idea what I'm doing. I love this dog. I could really go on forever with all of this great money and budgeting talk, and I hope that you have gotten some ideas on how to make the best of your finances when it comes to earning, saving, and giving money. You should definitely try out getting a bank account if you haven't already, and practice creating a budget as well. It will really help you to feel more at ease, and it's good just to try it out for practice. And anytime you're trying out something new that will help direct you toward adulting, that's a good thing, and it allows you to grow and move forward, which also helps you to be prepared for adulthood. And remember, it takes time to learn all of this stuff. And also remember, there will be trial and error. And of course, you can make mistakes. That is totally okay. And just relax, though, and know that you are going to be fine and you'll be ready in your own time. Well, that's all I have for you this week. And I thank you for tuning in. And I hope that you enjoyed this segment of our mini series. And if you have any questions or want to know more about adulting, I'd be more than happy to answer. I have my email address listed here in case you want to contact me. I'm Kimberly Buckley, and this has been All About Adulting. See you next time.